Okay, welcome back. Uncut with Jay Cutler. Today we have a dear friend of mine, Zach Miller. I played with him in Chicago. You can now find him on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you get your music. He's got 2 singles out. He's opening for some awesome country bands across the country. He's got an amazing story from Nebraska through the NFL, had a horrific injury, and now kind of on the other side of playing, but doing some awesome things in life. I want to thank everyone for listening, for watching the podcast. Keep all the inquiries and any questions, any suggestions of how we can do it better, who you want on the podcast. Send it to me on Twitter, JS Tweets. If I had Instagram, on Instagram. And let's just dive into this one. This one's going to be fun. It might be a little bit heavy because the story is a little bit tragic, but he's obviously doing well now, and awesome guy. Hope you enjoy it. Zach Miller. Okay, this week, great friend, good buddy, multi-talented, unbelievable human, great father, great husband. What else do you want to say? Good enough? Zach Miller. How we doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. Cheers.
Salute.
Yeah. So I played football with Zach in Chicago. Unbelievable guy. Great player. Know his family well. He knows my family well. And now you've moved on, and you're a singer-songwriter.
I don't know if I'm that yet. I don't know when you get to that point.
I mean,
I'm trying to be.
You got songs on Spotify.
Yeah, they're out there.
I mean, that's a thing.
I guess.
No, there's no guessing about it. They're there.
They're there, and that's taking it. It's a weird thing to have that like actually be a real thing. So,
well, I mean, I think I think a lot of singers like want to be professional athletes, and a lot of professional athletes want to be in the singer band worlds, or at least I did. I always wanted to be in a band. I mean, I didn't have the talent or any of the capabilities of doing it, but like I think that would be really cool.
The crossover is, I think, prevalent on both sides, right? Like,
sure,
you said every athlete wants to be a singer or a rapper or some type of musician, and a lot of musicians trickle over into the sports world, and so there's this blending of 2 different lifestyles, and going from one to the next for me has a ton of similarities, in the ways that I trained as an athlete to now taking that over to kind of training skills as a musician and a singer, and doing things that I had from that sports world into this music world.
I mean, are you saying just like your dedication to your craft and putting in the time and the effort and all the things?
Yeah. And knowing what it took physically for us to do the things that we did playing football and other sports growing up, having that mindset and knowing the things that the tools that you did off of the football field that helped you on, kind of the same way vocally. Like I didn't know how to do vocal exercises and guitar exercises and all that stuff. So I broke down how you do things in the sports world.
Sure.
And now I'm like I wake up and do vocal exercises.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
What vocal exercises do you do? Give me one vocal exercise.
Like lip trills. You make weird noises.
Let's hear one.
It's so dumb. Like,
really?
There's one exercise I do where I literally make sounds like a monkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Does Kristen make fun of you?
Oh God. The first time I was doing it, I'm down here in my studio, and this is like a makeshift studio. It's not built, it's not treated, so sound carried.
Yeah, like everyone can hear in the house.
Right, and she's upstairs, and she's like, "Are you meowing like a cat?" And she sends me a text,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yes, I am. I
I
have
am.
no idea what I'm doing, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to work, and so I'm
Yeah.
going to do that.
Well, I mean, it seems to be working.
I mean, I have felt the growth and the strength of vocal cords and like
Yeah.
just vocally growing from when I started singing to where I'm at now. I mean,
it's a muscle like anything else. I mean, if you train
right.
and you put some time in and you effort, like you're gonna get better. It's just and you're naturally talented in that world anyway. So you're growing on something you're already pretty good at.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, it's just
listen, bro.
I
Listen,
was
time out. Like if I started singing and doing vocal cord training and guitar, I could do it for the next 10 years. It's not going to make a damn bit of difference. That's just a fact.
Shit.
That's just a fact of life.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm having fun doing it. I don't know. I mean, how it started and where it's going, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that. I mean, I've loved music forever.
Yeah.
But now it's just something that kind of turned into doing. And I'm having a hell of a time. I love it.
Well, so we'll get more into it, but let's start at the beginning. Okay. Grew up Nebraska.
Yeah.
Walk on.
Western Nebraska.
3-sport athlete. Yeah. Didn't play varsity football till senior year. Mm-hmm. Because you got hurt your junior year. Quarterback.
Broke my collarbone.
Broke your collarbone
twice.
Which is insanely hard to do, but you did it. Played varsity football your senior year. Quarterback. Fast. Could throw. Could do all the things. Walked on at Nebraska, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you transferred and played quarterback.
Yeah. At Nebraska Omaha. Division II school.
Yep. So then you're getting ready, draft, combine, the whole thing. And how the hell did you end up as a tight end?
You want the long version or the short one?
I mean, we got time to fill, so give me the long one.
All right, so here it is. Walk on at Nebraska, coaching change.
Yep.
Not going to work for me there. And the key to playing our game is being on the football field, right? People need to see you play.
Only
so
way
I
to
transfer.
It.
I'm like, I need to be on the field. I don't care where it is. I just need to be somewhere where I could play.
Yeah.
End up at Nebraska Omaha Division II school. Start there for 4 years, and really was probably one of the best decisions I could ever make.
Because
for me to showcase that ability, right? Because I could have stayed at Nebraska and maybe played a year, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how that turns out.
Yeah.
But who knows if it's enough or not. Had to be on the football field, looking back on it, it was one of the best decisions because I get the ability to grow as a young man and grow as an athlete and learn how to play the game. And then start training for the draft. And 2 days before my pro day, I took a private workout with the Miami Dolphins just because they weren't going to stick around for the actual pro day.
Who was the coach then? Who was the head coach then for the Dolphins?
I don't know who the head guy was there.
I don't either.
George DeLeon was the guy who came to do my workout.
Okay.
And the Dolphins that was like the Wildcat was running rampant at that time of the league, right?
Yeah. Cadillac and Ronnie and all those guys were there. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so, I had 28 teams come to my pro day, which was a fair amount of teams.
You say 28?
28.
I don't even think I had 28.
They knew it. They didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I think probably a good amount, 15, 16 of them were going to work me out as a quarterback.
Sure, yeah.
And the rest of them were, they want to see what type of athletic ability I had. Mm-hmm. Do this workout with the Dolphins because I won every shot I could take. And I blew my thumb out on my throwing in 2 days before my pro day.
Doing what?
Hit a bag, doing a warm-up, just messing around with the Dolphins coach. And we were going through some things. And I didn't know. I was a quarterback, man. I didn't know how to hit bags and do any of that stuff.
No.
So I hit it, and I tore my UCL. on the collateral ligament on my
Yeah.
thumb,
Yeah.
I couldn't hold the ball.
No.
I didn't tell anybody. I told my agent. I was like, "Where you figure this out?" Because so we went, had my pro day. They all showed up and broke the news like, "Hey, Zach had an injury on his throwing hand, can't throw."
But you didn't tell
Obviously, he'll go through
you didn't tell them till they got there, right?
No, I wasn't going to tell them because they wouldn't have showed up.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta bring them in the building first and like, hey, listen, guys, bad news. There's no throwing today.
Sorry, guys. And we went through that whole pro day, and Mike Tice was actually with the Jags at that time.
Okay. Was he tight end coach then or O-line?
He was a tight end coach, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a former college quarterback.
Yes. That's correct.
So we got together, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to run some routes or something?" And I was like, "Sure. Who's going to throw?" He's like, "I will."
Yeah.
And so he greased up the arm, and we ran routes, and he threw. And I put a brace on and I formed my hand to a football, put a brace on, and kind of molded it that way. And that's how we went through the pro day and ended up getting drafted by Jacksonville in the 6th round, and really still was holding on to the quarterback hopes. Because the Wildcat thing was going on.
Yeah.
And I was our emergency quarterback. We really only carried 2 quarterbacks my first 3 years in Jacksonville because I was the
Because you're the third. Because, I mean, you could go in there and do it. Yeah. You could run. And what'd you run, a 4.4, 4.5?
Yeah, I ran a 4.47 and a 4.53. So I ran 2 of them that day.
That's good.
I could roll back then, man.
I mean, you could always roll.
I could roll faster back then than...
Well, I mean,
I ran a little bit when I was in Chicago.
We all could roll faster back then. That's how it goes. That's life. That's just life. You start figuring out how to be a little more efficient. You start figuring out how to be a little more efficient as you get older. So I mean, you get to Jacksonville and like now you're a tight end.
Right.
And now you got to block. You got to hit people. You got to do the whole like it's a whole different set of skill and physicality and the whole thing.
It's a different world.
Absolutely.
Like, I never put my hand on the ground. 3-point stance? You kidding me? Special teams? Hey.
Special teams that's a suicide mission.
Dude, the first time they put me on punt and you had to do that little kick thing, the little whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Literally didn't know how to do the footwork to do it. So they had to pull me aside after practice for me to learn it. And it's like a dance. And I was like, I've never moved like this ever before.
Yeah.
And so it's just a different world. And to be honest with you, Coach Tyson never really threw it all at me. He was like, "Hey, man, just go do your thing. Like, be athletic.
Be athletic. Figure it out. Sure.
And we'll learn as we go down the road." I didn't feel, honestly, like a complete tight end. And not even complete tight end. I didn't feel like an efficient tight end for the position till probably midway through my 3rd year.
Yeah.
First, 2nd year, rookie year, like I'm just out there running around, making catches and just running like I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you're just playing backyard football at that point.
Yes. How about this, though? First preseason game, we go down to Miami. And I'm a little kid from Nebraska. I've never been to an NFL game in my entire life.
Yeah.
I've seen Cornhuskers play, but I've never been to an NFL game.
Yeah.
I'm standing on the sideline like, holy shit. The Miami Dolphins are on the other side of the football field.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out there. I think I had a couple catches, but I had 4 solo tackles on special teams.
That's probably the worst thing you could have done.
Dude, the worst thing. The next day we go back, I'm on all 4 special teams. I'm blocking people on kick return. I was like, this is not where I want to be at, man.
Not what I signed up. Not what I signed up for.
But that start to like that's the dream, right? The dream starts right there.
Sure.
And any which way that I could do it, I was willing to do it. You got to switch positions. You got to go and literally live in a new world, hand on the dirt, blocking people, getting pushed around like I shouldn't even be out here.
Yeah.
Any way I could get it done, I wanted it to happen.
Yeah, you wanted to do it, and you made it happen. I mean, kind of throughout your career.
Right. And we had many conversations, even in Chicago, about just whatever it needs to be. You want me to line up in the backfield? Cool. You want me to split out?
Yeah.
Be in line?
Yep.
At that point, I was a little more efficient as far as
a lot more efficient. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, do you feel like, playing quarterback gave you kind of more of a mental edge of being able to make that move and knowing defenses and knowing weaknesses and knowing, how to attack leverage and all those things?
I think aside from the physical nature of it,
Yeah,
and
which is just different.
Yeah, I think the mental capacity, knowing that side of football for me as a quarterback,
Yeah,
was the biggest factor
for sure.
just for all the things you just mentioned. Like, it wasn't okay. I got thrown into this new world, and you going into it blind. I really went into it having this vast knowledge from a different perspective. So
Yeah.
it helped a ton.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to just go up and be like, all right, let's cover two. I know exactly, I know exactly where the weaknesses are, or three, or man.
Right.
But it also probably kind of sucked because you're like, all right, I'm definitely not getting the ball in this play.
No, I'm not getting this.
There's no chance. There's no chance it's coming my way.
You know what else I think was a very like an understated advantage is the timing.
Yeah.
Of knowing what you're going through back there.
Yeah.
Because I'd really done that my entire life, so I understood your timing and the stuff that was going on in your head, and I think that helped me.
Yeah, knowing when you have a little bit more time, knowing when, hey, like I got to speed this one up a little bit. It's quarterback kind of gave you that extra step in knowledge in the right direction. Where it probably, I mean, physically there are some things that were a little bit different, but you're athletic as hell, so you're able to do that. But mentally, it gave you kind of that step up from everybody in the room of being like, all right, I know exactly what's happening, and I know how to be quarterback friendly, which is probably one of the most understated things in a receiver tight end of being friendly with a quarterback and knowing exactly, when to do something, whether it's subconscious or you just know it. Some guys are just out there just running to run, and some guys are like, all right, I'm running to get open and I'm running to help out the quarterback get me the ball.
Right. So good times, man.
So Jacksonville, you make your way to Chicago.
Yeah.
You have to get thrown in the huddle with me. What a
pleasure.
Yeah, what a nightmare that was, huh?
So we get to Chicago. I get to Chicago. I told you, I think probably a couple times. The first night I had got there was you guys were playing the Packers
at home,
NFC Championship. Maybe.
Oh, NFC Championship game. Yeah.
Was it the NFC Championship, or was it late to go to the playoffs?
It was. That was 10. That was 9. That was 9 or 10. No,
so it would have been 2013.
Yeah, it was a home game.
Yep.
And we had a 0 blitz, and Aaron scooted left and hit Randall Cobb.
Yep.
Which the safety, Conti.
It was Chris Conti.
Yeah, I mean, got absolutely blistered for that. And for anyone watching, you call zero blitz, everyone's coming, and you're literally just man to man, no one behind, no safety coverage, nothing.
Nope.
And technically, you're bringing more than the offense can block. There's one more guy than they can block. So someone's free. Someone should get home, and that's what you dial it up for. And so dependent on Chris was absolutely absurd because it should be 1,001, 1,002, maybe 1,000, and ball's out.
Ball's gone.
Has to be gone, or you're sacked. And it's nobody's fault. Aaron's an unbelievable player, and he's seen zero a million times, like a lot of us have, and he's athletic, so he got out of it, and it just happened.
So I was in the hotel that night.
Yeah, it was a shitty time for you to be there.
I'm like, yes, I'm signing a contract tomorrow.
Going to the playoffs.
Be great.
Yeah.
We're going, And that happens. I was like, oh, shit. I think I ordered, I almost went into, this pre-depression thing. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and just order everything on the menu, get some chicken strips. I had all the wings. Ordered anything I could off that menu. I was like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna work out tomorrow, but I'm getting some good food at the hotel.
I'm gonna run the dime up before I'm sent home.
And so then I end up signing there, which is really, I couldn't have picked a better place going from where I was at in Florida.
Yeah.
And then come to Chicago and not it was everything that I expected in the NFL. Does that make sense? Like I'm kind of back home where.
Tell me more.
Go ahead.
I said, tell me more.
Just like I didn't like playing in the Florida heat, right?
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Nebraska where I had 4 seasons, and like football to me was gloomy outside, and I wanted a little bit of cold, right? And I went to Florida, and it was 110 degrees out. And I'm like, I can't play this. I can't play this here.
I know. It was the same in Miami when I was. I mean, I liked Miami. It was like it's 97, and it's like Christmas Day. I'm like, this. I mean, it's football, but it's like you said, I want football in the fall. I want it to be. I want that like that brisk air, and you go outside, you see your breath, and like all the things that like you think about whenever you think of late season.
That's what it was for
NFL
me
football.
as a kid. Like I'm growing up, and that's what I grew up in. So that's kind of what I wanted to play in, and I loved my time in Florida.
Yes.
But when I got to Chicago, I'm like, okay,
this is football.
This big city.
Yeah.
This is football.
Yeah.
Like it just has this. The whole city has this aura around it that like you walk into Soldier Field and it just feels like it's fucking game day, right?
Yeah, it's football.
Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And the city that embraces all their, not only the Bears, but like every sports, like that's a sports city.
Without a doubt. No question about it. I mean,
so everything just felt right.
Yeah.
And we go into that first preseason, and we had some issues with guys, and we had suspensions early on. And that's the only reason I was in the huddle with you.
This is
in our first preseason game.
This is Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had some fights in camp, and Marty ended up getting suspended.
Yeah.
Kyle, we just had.
It was just
some shit went down, and that was the only reason I was in the huddle with you, because then Dante Rosario popped up. To run with the ones, and then I got up to run with the ones, and I know this first preseason game, like I have to earn this from the get go, and that's what goes back to I'll do whatever it takes. And we're going on a drive, and Dante got tired. You hit him on a seam ball, you hit him on, and you get in the red zone, and Dante taps out, boom, 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 and I'm like, oh yes, and I'm running in like, here we go. I slide in the huddle, and I don't know if you remember the play or not, playing the Philadelphia Eagles. And we run a little bender. I'm on the left side and run a little bender, and you threw a back shoulder ball.
Yeah, I remember that
in
ball.
Between two dudes. Yeah. That you had, like, this is the only place it goes.
Yeah.
And we don't catch it if we don't have this.
Yeah,
like, that ball's not completed because it's like back shoulder spinning, and it's one of my favorite catches I've ever made because right then and there, hit a toe tap in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
And I was like, that could be big.
Yeah,
I remember B. Marsh comes over and he's jumping on me and he's like, dude, I think you just made yourself some money. And it went like from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, because the next week I blew my foot out.
I remember that.
Because you called me after the game. You're like, hey, bro, super proud of you, man. Like, for you to step in and do all that. And we had this exchange. Like, that's kind of where I felt like our relationship had started to grow, right? Like, I just signed there. We had OTAs, and I was working my way up, and then it just started to get our connection started to get stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
I mean, that was really where it started.
Yeah, I remember that ball, and it was kind of bang bang, and then and it was, I mean, there's certain balls that I remember most of my balls that I've thrown, but there's certain balls that you remember you throw, and you're like, okay, like I like that one. But it's as a quarterback, and like there's certain guys on the field, and you get a feel for those guys as you practice that just like get it, and like they can see the defense, and B. Marsh is one of those guys, and like they can just see the defense, and they know that all right, the only way for this to be completed is for a ball to be put in a abnormal spot, and I mean you had that gift too, like you knew exactly when it was going to come back shoulder, when it was going to be over the top, when it was going to be like, all right, I need you to just sit in this zone, even though maybe that's not what it calls for.
Right.
When things are on the move and you're scrambling, like how to find that soft spot, when to go. And you can't teach it. Like, I mean, there's drills, and you can drill it, and you can diagram it, and you do all the things. And there's just certain guys on the field that just get it. And you were one of those guys.
Like that, I remember. Like that and like teaching it and doing the drills, I feel like sometimes it handcuffs the creativity of the game.
Yeah, it gets a little bit robotic and stuff, and and I mean the good ones they once you're in the game, they just do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And there's certain guys.
I can many times in practice. I remember even like years down the road, like Gase and Dowell, those guys were like, "What the hell are you guys doing out here?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Man, we just scored. Maybe the route wasn't how you guys drew it up.
It worked,
but we scored on it."
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, well, do it right in the game,
yeah,
and figure it out, or like do that, whatever." But it like talking and going back and looking at it, like that's the fun part of football.
Oh yeah,
of just understanding that this is a game.
I mean,
right?
it's definitely a game, and it's a. I mean, you practice and you script and you have all this structure around it, and then really once you get into the game, it's controlled chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just controlled chaos, and I think you're looking at maybe. I don't even know what the number is. 25% of things happen exactly on time in the passing game. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's 45%. I don't know, but it's definitely can't be more than half.
Yeah.
And you have to. And if you have guys that can make stuff happen for you, I mean that's how it works. Because it's hard as hell to get 11 guys to do exactly what they're supposed to do every play. Because guess what? There's 11 guys on the other side that are trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that it gets wrecked.
Yeah, it get wrecked.
So I remember like that first game, that back shoulder throw. I mean, you and I had a conversation, and I thanked you for throwing that because leading up to that, I hadn't played in. I'd been hurt. Got hurt my last year in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Really got hurt my third year. Had shoulder surgery. Then my fourth year, I blew my foot out.
Yep.
My fifth year, I had that short little interaction in Tampa, which was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And then ended up in Chicago. So I hadn't played football in so long.
Yeah.
And I felt like that part right there was like a gift to this like resurgence of like, all right, I can show people that I can still do this.
Yeah, I can do this.
Because it had been so long, which really helped. And then the next week, the foot injury happens. But
it was one of those things it was one of those things like we saw enough and it was like, hey, like we've just got to get this guy healthy and like get him on the field because he can do some crazy stuff for us.
Yeah, man.
Which you did as we went down. The catch in San Diego, another seam beater. You one-handed that one.
I didn't even see that ball. You threw that thing so damn hard right over the safety. I was like, I don't know what the ball is, and then boom. Like I see replays of that every now and then, and that was another one that, honestly, I had messed up my SC joint in practice that week.
Yeah,
bad to the point where it was crippling me.
Yeah.
And I was pissed off the whole game because I had one catch for -2 yards on a little like back little naked rollout, and it got stuffed. So I was irritated because I wanted to be balling and I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was doing special teams, hitting people on kickoff. I'm like, man, sucks. Yeah. Like just getting pushed around, and then it came to that late in the game, and there was another situation I think kind of where I just needed to fill in. Guys getting tired.
Yep.
And I knew as soon as the play call came in, and as soon as we broke the huddle, that we were scoring. I knew the ball was coming my way, and I knew that we were going to score and win this thing because Alshon was to my right.
Yep.
And
safety just was gone.
And Alshon and safety went to double, of course. Double Alshon. They ain't going to cover my ass.
Yep.
And we beat the linebacker straight up the middle.
Yeah, I remember I had to push up in the pocket, and like I was already going downhill just because I had pushed up, and I was moving so fast, and it came out definitely hotter and higher than I wanted because I had to get over top of the linebacker, but I also was worried about like the safety because we were in the almost the red zone. We were kind of on the fringe. And I was like, he's not going to be that far out. Like he might be able to get back. So it came out super hot. And I think you basically just took right hand, and just kind of basically just stopped the ball and then boom.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a health
And
catch.
I think for the stage, being Monday night, being on the road, that place was electric, full
Yeah, it
of Bears
was.
fans.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I felt like we took that place over.
Yeah.
So that everything, like I would rather obviously have had it be that than you just toss one up and it's a
Easy.
layup.
Yeah, it's an
Like
easy one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And then
like for the
then the last one was I think the last throw I threw to you was in New York.
New York.
The touchdown in the right corner.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was the last one. And that's whenever my labrum was torn.
We were wrecked that game.
Yeah. I tore
And
it.
we
I tore it.
so that
I tore it the week before in Tampa,
yeah.
and didn't know it, and just thought I was just tight. But I mean, I was shot putting balls.
Yeah, but that whole first half we were on fire.
Yeah. Yep. Second
I
half.
mean-
That second half, not so much.
I broke my foot
Oh yeah, you
the
did.
last play of the first half.
Yeah, you caught a touchdown and then broke your foot.
JPP stepped on me on
Yep.
a stupid check down.
Yep.
And I was just chipping him and going out, and like him and I get tangled up and literally snapped my foot in half.
Gosh.
And we were rolling that whole first half.
Yeah.
I remember getting into the locker room, and I was in the back, and I knew I'd had that Liz Frank injury before, so I knew exactly what it is. My
Yeah.
foot was literally like in half.
In half.
And I was in the back, just sitting there sulking. And I remember you came in, bro, and I lost it as soon as you got there because you were like,
Yeah.
dude, it's okay. And I was like, I don't want it to be over, man. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want this to end.
Mhm.
I'd had a taste of what I felt I could do in this league. And that year,
Yeah.
like, it was everything personally for me. The goals that I had wanted, I was hitting them. I was top 3 in a lot of the important categories for
Yeah.
me positionally.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was coming finally to where I felt this could go. And then that happened, and you're like, it'll be all right, man. I was sitting in there just in tears, like, shit,
Yeah.
I just don't want this to stop.
I know.
And it was one of those things where it's like, do enough to get to that point and then get healthy to get back. And that was
Yeah.
my mindset through it all. And it's
Yeah.
like this damn cycle that just kept on repeating.
So let's get to the end of the cycle. Since we're in a dark place where we're talking anyway. New Orleans. I'm gone. You're in New Orleans. I'm not with the Bears anymore. Dislocate your knee, catching a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Sever the artery.
Yeah.
You're laying there. Did you know the severity, or were you just like,
No.
hey, I messed my knee up? I mean, you know your body. I mean, most professionals, they know their body enough to know, hey, something's
Yeah.
wrong. But did you know what the next 2 months or the rest of your life was gonna?
No.
No.
Had no idea. Obviously, had been down the injury road before, so I
Sure.
figured, like, tore my ACL.
Yeah.
Like that was what the immediate thought was. I tore my ACL,
Because it
And-
popped. Your knee popped right back, right?
so it went out, and like as it went, the top my
Whatever the top is.
Femur?
Sure. Whatever.
My femur.
Whatever. Yeah.
like when it goes to dislocate, my
Yeah.
femur caught on top of my tibia and got stuck. It broke the top of my tibia and popped back up. So
Gotcha.
if that doesn't happen, I would have went like out, and my leg would have just been like dangling. So it pops back in,
Gosh.
and I just thought, yeah, I tore my ACL, whatever. I didn't know the severity of it. I didn't know the dislocation until I was on the stretcher, and they're oohing and on, and everybody's saying, "Hey, man," giving me all well wishes, patting me on the back, blah blah blah. And Nate Bresky, our head athletic trainer, is like, "Hey, they're reviewing the play. Don't look at the video board." And I'm like, as soon
Definitely-
as somebody tells you not to do something, I look up and
Definitely
I
gonna
see
look.
so I look and I'm like, oh, damn. Like I had no idea. Just the angle of it, and they kept doing it. Boom, replay. And I'm like, shit, I ain't looking no more. Like one time was enough.
Saw enough.
And even then, I still didn't really know until we got back in the locker room. We did x-rays, did all that stuff. And I'm holding my leg in place because when I let it go it like slides out and it hurts. So I'm holding it up, time passes and I start to lose feeling in my foot, and it starts to go numb, and they want to go do more x-rays. And I was like, guys, I can't feel my foot. Something's going on. Let's check it out. So we take it off and my foot's blue. Ugh. And my leg is literally like the same size from my quad down to my ankle. And they're like, all right, we got to go. And from then it's like we're skedaddling to the ambulance. I got a friend of mine, David Garrard, ex-quarterback in Jacksonville, was at the game. He dropped his phone celebrating the touchdown in that end zone and ends up down in the concourse as they're walking me in. And I was like, yo, you got to come with me. And so
he got down to the concourse.
Yeah. So he drops his phone in that end zone.
Yep.
And he's talking to security. He's like, hey, I dropped my phone. I need to come down and get it. And then he's standing there as they're taking me out. And he's like, hey, that's my friend, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, like he needs to come with me. I needed like a comfort, somebody who's close to me.
Yep.
And all our team doctors and everybody's doing everything that they can, to a matter of fact, we stole a golf cart from somebody. Went and they got a golf cart. David's holding my leg up in the concourse. I'm literally laying on my back. To
get you to the ambulance?
The ambulance had issues getting over that way because the concourse was packed. Sure. So they had to leave. And I met them on the streets of New Orleans. So we commandeer a golf cart. David's holding my leg up. Dr. Bowen, Dr. Corcoran, Nate, all these guys are running around and trying to get everything situated. And we ended up, they put arms over both shoulders, and I'm hobbling. I'm still in full gear, man.
Sure.
Hobbling down to get to the ambulance, and they throw me in there. Dude, I lost my mind. I was nervous. My heart was racing. I was like, give me whatever the hell you got to give me to calm me down.
At this point, were you aware, like, hey, like my leg is in jeopardy here?
Once I saw my foot, like once I started losing feeling and I saw the discoloration, I got nervous. And that went into full on like, okay.
Panic
attacks, right? Yeah. And we're in the ambulance. They were going to take me to a location that was about, it was further than I needed to go. I think it was, I don't know how long. Doctors on our side and trainers said, we're not going there.
Yeah.
The level 1 trauma was 5 minutes away, and they said, that's where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And I remember them arguing back and forth and like, hey, we're contracted to go to this hospital. And they're like, well, I don't give a damn where you're contracted to go.
Yeah, we're going here.
This is where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And my operating surgeon was actually at Buffalo Wild Wings with his kids.
Are you kidding
watching
me?
The game? No. And he saw the injury happen. He's like, come on, guys, we got to go. And he was already
Are you serious?
waiting for me when I got there, yeah. So, like, I mean, you find that up, like, down the road.
It's incredible.
Like, he was already there. Yeah, he knew. He's like, listen, we gotta go.
Yeah, I got to do this.
He was there waiting. So
how,
me there.
I mean, we've talked about this, but, I mean, people listening don't know. Like, I mean, you were unbelievably close to them having to amputate your leg.
Yeah. I mean, the window, they told me like 7-10 minutes because my tissue had started to die already.
Yeah.
I had been without blood flow for a decent amount of time, over an hour and longer before we got into surgery. And at that point, when you don't have blood flow or oxygen to get to your tissue, it starts to die. And once it starts to die, it gets to a certain point, you can't save it. And the next best thing is you got to lop it off and save the rest of your body, or else everything will go. So it was getting close, and emergency room was nuts because David was on the phone with Kristen, with my wife, and he was relaying all the stuff from the medical doctors to her, and she was relaying back to him to get clearance for all the stuff they had to do. I got to the point where I think they were tired of hearing me, and they just put me to sleep. Because I remember just
knock this guy out.
Nervous, like, don't cut my damn leg off.
Yeah.
Don't do any of that. And they were like, all right, man, you got to chill out and let us do our thing. And
I mean, you're not. I mean, you're on the road. Kristen's not there. It's foreign. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening.
It was hectic, to say the least.
And then I mean, I talked to you at some point, and then you sent some pictures. I mean, they had to basically just cut open your calves on both.
Yeah.
Kind of both. I just let it
Both
drain
sides.
out, and I mean, it was unbelievably gruesome.
I got some pictures that maybe one day we need to let the people see, huh?
I mean, you could. I mean, it's insane to see what happened.
That whole process of how they do it, of
Hmm.
how they repair that thing, blew my mind, man. The
Yeah.
amount of the techniques and the
So
precision and the things
how
that they can do with the
how
human
did
body.
how did they put that artery back together?
They took your saphenous vein is the largest vein in your body, and they took it out of my right groin. So they cut me open on my right groin. They cut that vein, and I don't know if they just cinch it back up, and
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. And then they
Me
take
either.
that and splice it. My artery was severed in half. It wasn't just cut. It wasn't like it was a nick. Like it
It's
was
gone.
one end was over here, the other end was over here. So they take that saphenous vein and they splice it in the middle, and they sew both ends together.
That's nuts.
They give you like a 72-hour window to see if the
See if it works.
surgery takes. Yeah. And so that first, those first 3 days sitting in there wondering still if, if it's going to go. I mean, I remember checking my pulse in my foot hundreds of times a day.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't find it, I went into this
Freak out.
full on, freaking
Oh yeah.
out.
Oh yeah.
And that happened that took at least a couple years to where I'm still checking my pulse.
Yeah. Just to make
Like,
sure.
damn, how's this? Is this
Yeah.
still going good or not?
Yeah. So it's kind of a no-brainer that we love football on this show. So great to catch up with my friend Zach Miller. And if you're like us and you love fantasy football, then you'll love our friends at FanDuel. I'm about to make your day a little better because if you use the promo code J at FanDuel.com, you'll get a 20% bonus with your first deposit, up to $500. That's a big-time bonus from FanDuel, and all you have to do is make your first deposit and use the code J. And FanDuel has tons of ways for you to play with your friends. You can set new lineups every week so you're not stuck with the same players all season. And there are tons of different game formats to pick from. You can even just play private matchups with your close friends and earn some bragging rights. This week, some great games are on the slate. Bears are at home against Cincinnati. The Titans and the Seahawks should be a great one. And longtime rivalry on Monday night with the Lions taking on Aaron and the Packers at Lambeau. Experience season-long wins without season-long waits. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/J to claim your bonus and start playing today. That's FanDuel.com/J. And then, I mean, we've talked about this, and I think this probably, I mean, a lot of people will relate to this. And I mean, you've been pretty open about it of coming off the painkillers and the stuff that they gave you, and the struggle that was of just getting back to a life where you just didn't have to do that.
I'll tell you what, man, and this is one of it's weird talking about it because I understand like the addiction part of it.
Yeah.
And the feeling that you get from that, because I swear to you, that was one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life.
That's what you told me. You were like, when I called you,
they were pumping into me.
and I don't even know if you remember it. I was like, hey, like whatever you need, bro. Like we'll figure it out. And
I
you
do.
were like, and you were like, listen, I'm good. He goes, I don't know what they have me on, but it's literally the greatest feeling I've ever had in my entire life.
And it was scary at the same point because like,
Oh, that's
I
scary.
knew
That's
what it was
scary as
doing to
hell.
me. Oh, like the rush I had for that first 8 to 10 seconds was incredible. And then I felt nothing for the next 4 hours until I got the next dose.
Yeah.
But without it, I couldn't function. So
Yeah.
I was on that shit for 31 days straight, and that was intravenous. It wasn't like I was taking pills.
Yeah.
They were literally shooting that into my veins. And the first day I got back to Chicago, because I was in New Orleans for 8 days,
Mm-hmm.
and the day I got back to Chicago, they tried to switch my medication and drop it. And the pain that I went through, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. And it was like Kristen hadn't seen the kids in 8 days, so she went home for that first night. And by 3 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
that first night I was there, I was calling her like, hey, you need to come back. Like,
Yeah.
this is not going well for me, and I
Yeah.
need help and they ended up, getting me back to where I was comfortable and taking care of me. But I was on that stuff for 30 days, and I'd had the surgeries before,
Yeah.
so I felt like getting off of it would be easy because I had done it.
Yeah.
And our docs were like, "No, man, this is a different thing.
So
Like
this is
it's
a
been consistent and it's been strong."
different animal here.
Yeah. And I remember my first dose I missed 9 a.m. I took my pills at 9 a.m. I was on my way, walking through the kitchen on my little
The
old
roller.
grainy.
Yeah.
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 And I got to the point where I couldn't even move anymore, and my body went into like these shakes that I had.
Yeah.
And Kristen went and took half a pill, gave me a pill, and it was within minutes where I was just steady and back to normal. And so I started this decline of where I was just tapering off, take half a pill for a couple of days, take a quarter of a pill the next day, because I don't want to be on it. I didn't like the way I felt.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way my body was. Like I knew what it was doing,
Sure.
and it was necessary early on because I couldn't.
It was a necessary.
Go through that pain.
It was a necessary evil you had to do.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like it took just a little bit longer than I would have liked to get off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we tapered it off, I'd say within a week or two, to the point where I was just doing ibuprofen and.
I mean, that's still pretty impressive.
Oh, dude, Mike, I'll tell you what. If we go back through that, that shit was crazy. The feelings and the everything that came with it. Yeah, it was nuts.
I know you've talked about it. That is nuts. But I mean, so like, I obviously I had a different path when I was done playing football. But I mean, the transition from football to just like figuring out the rest of your life. I mean, and you on top of that you had an injury, which I didn't have that. So was that difficult of saying, hey, like what do I want to do next, or do you think that going through that injury and that traumatic experience kind of like shaped like what of the music and like kind of like led you down that road?
I think it did lead me down that road because that was my escape from where I was at. Yeah. I had never really seriously sat down and tried to write a song. Sure. And then when I got hurt, I had nothing but time laying in the bed. And obviously I had played the guitar as a hobby and I needed an outlet. And so I just started writing, and we had a piano in the house at that time. So I started playing the piano and creatively just started trying to put stories together of things that I'd done and places I'd been and people that I know had been through the stuff that they'd been through, and started writing songs. And I fell in love with that process. Like the creative process is what I enjoy the most about where I'm at now. Right.
Well, I mean, sports is creative. I mean, especially, right. I mean, you're being out there, you're being creative. Like it's a structured game, but like there's a movement and a beauty and a creative process to it that allows every great athlete to do its thing. It's not you're not a robot. So like I think you're already primed for this outlet. It's just you have a different skill set that a lot of other people don't.
Yeah, and like that crossover in those worlds is crazy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if the injury doesn't happen. I don't know if it pushes me towards music because there were so many other interests. Sure. Do you go into broadcasting? Do you go into coaching? Do you do all these other things? But physically, where I'm at, like I honestly can't stand up on a football field for
3 hours.
An hour, right? Like I can't do that with the residual stuff that goes on. My leg is numb from the knee down, just with the nerve damage.
Like 24/7.
So, yeah, all the time. And so the stuff that comes along with that, it doesn't allow for some things to happen. Like I could sit on a bar stool and strum a guitar for 30 minutes.
Sure.
And then still have issues. Like I got to go down and my legs swollen from sitting there, but like not a pity party. Like I'm just saying like the real stuff that I couldn't go into the things that I had interest of, like wanting to coach and going to broadcasting and do all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know if it pushes you into what I'm doing now with music. Like, I don't know if I get to where I'm at without that, which is that's the irony in that is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if irony is the right word. It might be, but I mean, like, it's there's certain things in life that happen that are good. There's certain things in life that happen that are really bad. That
Yeah.
you just and you don't really know why you have to go through the bad things to get to the good things or something you're supposed to do in your life. But that's just kind of how it happens sometimes. And
Yeah.
obviously, we wish that that the knee situation wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But it led.
It took me 3 days to. It took me like those first 3 days, dude. It was a pity party there. Then it was.
Oh gosh, you're
why
better than
why
me.
this?
I would have had a pity party for a long time.
It was that for a long time, and then
Yeah.
it was. I had to just get to a point where like this is real life, man. Like you got to accept this at some point.
Yeah,
Like it ain't going away.
Yeah, you're not changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that first couple days was the worst. But like you said, maybe irony isn't the exact word that describes it, but like it doesn't facilitate into where I'm at now, I don't think.
No, and it led you to this now, and it seems like you're liking it, you're loving it, you're having an awesome time, you're excelling at it. So I mean, it obviously sucks that that's what had to happen to lead you down this road, but I think at the end of the day, that's just kind of life. I mean, it's not a perfect straight line. Good things happen, bad things happen, and you just got to make the best of it.
I think that's you can't put it in a better way.
I probably could, but we won't right now. But I'll tell
That's
one.
how life goes, man.
Yeah, I'll tell one story. I was elk hunting in Montana, and you're sending me some songs, and I'm driving back, and I missed them on the way out, and I'm like, hey, I was like, I gotta stop. I mean, you were like, you gotta stop. So I get there, and Zach has cooked me a steak. It's late. He has a bourbon poured. And I eat, and Kristen's up, and she's like, hey, I'm going to bed. You guys have fun. I'm like, cool. And we're talking about your song. You're like, hey, you want to listen to this some more? I'm like, sure. He's like, let's go downstairs. And we go downstairs, and like, we're basically where you are right now, whole setup.
Yeah.
And you get out your guitar, and you just start going and playing and playing and playing. And another jam, and another song, and another song. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I mean, you just have. I mean, you're just kind of full of them. And I mean, I feel like you write a song in like a day and a half.
I got a couple. Like I remember, I was so nervous to play those songs just because I hadn't played music for anybody outside of my family, like
Sure.
in my house, right? And so. I was trying to roll out the red carpet. I'm like, I need to get him. I need the ribeyes. We need food. I need to have the drink ready. Like we got to have everything ready. And so we start jamming, and I was like eager to play them because I wanted feedback, and I know that
Sure.
I would get the honest truth from you, and like I wanted you to hear them and have that like just be a thing.
Yeah.
And then we just kept going, and you're like, play another one.
And
then you're like, play another one. Yeah. Like slow down, and I want to hear this. And so like I felt the appreciation like lyrically in the first couple songs that I've put out, they don't dive into like the creativity and the lyrical direction and storytelling that I want to get to as a few, you know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean, because like some of the stuff that I have that you've done, and some of the stuff that I've heard, I'm not saying that what you have out now is bad, but like, I mean, you've got some stuff that's, near and dear to you, and creatively is really good.
And so that I'm trying to just build this process of doing this thing, and I don't know what the right or wrong way to do it.
I don't either.
But getting like. Right, like it's just do it. And I just remember that whole night like it was yesterday, man. I'll never forget it. Like you said, you're like, dude, what do you want to do with this? And I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, well, what, like,
what's the plan
this
here?
Is incredible. What do you want to do with this?
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I'd like to sing the songs and share them with the world. You're like, do you want to write them? Do you want to perform them on your own? And that was the turning point for me, man. Like that was the point where I had almost like gotten okay, man, like this is good enough for you to go do.
Yeah, this is real.
Yeah. And so like that night was almost like it was like the last push to like go do your thing, man. And
Good.
I'll never forget it. And so get into writing songs, and I obviously share those. I share all of them with you. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this one? Is this as good? Is it
Yeah.
not? And
Yeah.
that's just kind of that's my process of I create it and I write it and send it out to people I know that are going to give me good feedback and carry on. So.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of that group and part of that creative process because it's I can live my musical dreams through you. So it works for me. It works out for me. Well, listen,
awesome.
Listen, dude. Always a pleasure. Give me Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere that you get music.
Yeah.
You've got 2 songs out right now. Tell me about them. Talk about them.
Got 2 songs out right now. The first one I did, How You Like Us Now, was really that was a story of kind of where I grew up at, small town Nebraska, and the dreams that I had were crazy, man. And I feel like a lot of people, they have dreams, and along the way they encounter people that don't believe in them, and they get people, all this outside noise. And that song was about who cares what other people think on the outside, man. Like if you know what you got and you got dreams, chase them. And that's really what that was. And getting to the dreams that I had and getting to where I was, that's where How You Like Us Now came from. And the latest single, it's called I Was Hoping. That's really a story from like puppy love and everything in between to real love at the end of it. And it's I think it's a little bit of the backseat loving, that type of back road stuff in Nebraska. I mean, I grew up in the country, right?
Yeah.
And shit, I'm still down for a little bit of backseat loving at this age.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta keep it spicy and keep it fun and keep it real.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of where that song was, where it was born at, man. I used to chase Kristen around from a young age, and that grew into something real, and that's where it is now.
Absolutely.
But like I said, we those are out everywhere. Those are on all digital platforms.
Those are out everywhere. September 4th still happening.
September 4th, man.
Yeah,
that's close.
Randy
Hauser.
2 days.
2 days.
Where's that at?
That's at Stir Cove. It's in Council Bluffs, Iowa, just across the way from Omaha. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm getting the pregame jitters.
Are you?
Just like the competitive juices that you used to get playing football. Like I'm getting those because I want it to be good.
Yeah.
And
it will be.
Put together a little band here in the last couple of weeks, so it's not just me on stage. It's an outdoor venue, so I wanted it to be a little bit of a party, and it's like I got 2 songs that we created in the studio, and in my head I got a specific sound that I want to create.
Yeah. And
now it goes into, okay, you get it's free, right? Yeah. So we get in here as a band, and there's no like path to follow, and we're just trying to dial in and create the sound that I feel is correct, and we're working on it, and it's going to be fun, man.
Okay, September 25th, opening for at Brantley Gilbert.
Yes, sir.
Where's that at?
That's McHenry, Illinois. Just outside of Chicago.
Yeah, I know where it's at. Nervous?
Yep. Yes.
Why?
I don't know, man. It's different than football. Like football, I mean, I could go mess up football aside from me dropping a ball and it being blatant. Like nobody could see that, right? Yeah, I don't have a helmet. I don't have nothing to hide behind. It's just it's me up there, and it's stories that I've lived, and it's stories that they mean enough to write about. So it's just it's a different type of game.
Little more vulnerable experience, and it's something you're just new to as well. So
yeah.
Well, you're gonna crush it. For anybody out there looking for some new music, go check out Zach Miller, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your music. September 25th in Illinois. If you're in the Chicago area, go out, support them. I'm sure there's going to be new dates. You got new merch. Where's my merch, by the way?
Oh, I got merch, man. I will personally deliver yours. I'll be in
Okay.
Nashville here in the next month or two, so I'll bring it to you.
Perfect. Pleasure, buddy. Thank you for taking the time. Awesome story.
I appreciate you.
It was a blast. Tell Kristen and the kids I said hello, and hopefully we'll catch you in concert here soon.
Can't wait, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yep, we'll see you.
Okay, that is that. Zach Miller, fun podcast. It's always good to talk to a dear friend. Obviously, you heard it. Went through a lot. Has done an unbelievable job of bouncing back after his injury. Check out his music. Honestly, he's incredible dude. A father, a husband, a tremendously talented individual, and he's doing some cool stuff in the music world. I think you'll like it. I think there's gonna be a lot more to come from Zach in that industry. He's got a few shows coming up. I'm sure he'll have many more over the fall and into the spring. So if you like country music, if you like a great storyteller, go check out my great friend Zach. And once again, if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, how we can do it better, what we're doing well, let me know on Instagram, on Twitter, on if you have my number, text me. And I think that's a wrap for this week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.